Welcome to the Pivot Show, where millions are made.
This is your host, Trevor J. White, and today's topic is this. I'm running from the beast. Sit back and relax and listen. I'm your host, Trevor J. White, and today's topic is this. The beast is always there. Sit back and relax, and welcome to today's show. Welcome to the show today, and today's going to be a little darker than what I tend to do on any platform. But when life is life, I'm going to share what's actually real. It's the whole point of this podcast, right? Talking about the pivots that you have to make, the actual pits and the peaks and every part of life that exists for each one of us. And I want you to consider that there is a beast hunting you down every single day. There's a beast inside, a darkness inside. Most people don't want to talk about it. Most people want to brush it under the rug. Society tells us it's not okay to be angry. Society tells us it's not okay to be frustrated. Society tells us it's not okay. You should be a good little boy and put yourself in line. But what about those days when that's not the case? What about the days when there's a fire inside of you that you can't quite define, and you're sitting there looking at it and you're like, what is this? What is this thing I feel? What is this? Am I wrong? Am I bad? Am I evil? Right? This is what religion would tell you, that you're evil and you're dark and you're bad because you feel this thing. But what if it's not? What if that's who you are? What if that's part of you? Just as equal as the light is your dark. What if the darkness is actually a divine gift from God, but not something to be afraid of and to run from, but something to embrace and to look at and to leverage? Right? Most of us, we push the dark down because we don't understand it. We don't understand the dark because it's dark. And we're told that we just need to spend time in the light. But I want you to consider all those who've done anything great in this world, anytime, anything that they have done that's actually mattered in this life. They went through the dark to find the light. Their liberation was not through spending time in the light, but their liberation came from forging headfirst into the dark. What if that's the thing? What if that's the game? What if the narrative that you've believed up to this point has been a lie? What if it's a complete lie? What if God actually wants you to experience the dark because that's the only way that you can truly embrace and understand and find and liberate your light? Well, that breaks a lot of the constructs that I've been taught, right? I was told, just read the scriptures, say your prayers, and everything will be fine. What if that's not enough? What if that's not enough? Some of you guys are going to hear this, and you'll be like, what do you mean that's not enough? That's a problem. You're blasphemy. You're speaking out of it. You're speaking out of turn. That's that you don't have enough faith. And I'm very aware that I need to exercise more faith. I've actually been told that by some people that I respect, that I need to exercise more faith. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to exercise more faith. But what about days like today? What about these days? What about the days when you're sitting here and the darkness is there? Now, I can pretend it's not. I can avoid it. I can say, nope, this isn't real. This isn't a thing. I'm going to go meditate, do some kumbaya, and pretend that this is not what I feel right now. But what I feel right now is I feel the beast right behind me, hunting me down, almost like he's prowling on me. He's sitting there, his fangs are just unleashed, and he's sitting right behind me, hunting me down, savoring the fact that I'm his meal, he thinks, and that he's going to take me down, he's going to take me out of the game, and he's going to stop any progression that I've made to find out who I actually am. So instead of running from the beast, what would happen if you just turned around and faced the beast? What if you turned around and you faced the stories that you're hearing in your head, that you're not enough, that you'll never be enough, that you're not good enough, that you're a terrible father, you're a terrible mother, that you are not ever going to achieve the life that you actually want because you're a sinner, you're useless, you're terrible. Why should you even exist on this planet? We look at all these thoughts come and we're like, we don't know what to do. This is why suicide is on the rise in this world. This is why depression and drugs that we are taking in order to suppress the depression is so insanely high, so ridiculous. I can even think back just a few years ago when anxiety, it wasn't a thing. It was legit not a thing. And some of the things that people deal with right now, those were considered mental health disorders, and we went to try to help and solve and fix the problem. Now we just accept it all. But the one thing that no one is willing to accept is their dark. There's an equal and opposite in everything. And this morning, I feel the darkness. I feel it inside of me. And there's been times in my life where that darkness has just overcome me. I don't know that I would say I surrendered to the dark, but I think in some respect I did. I surrendered to the dark. I surrendered to it. I gave into it. And I gave into what the dark was telling me, that I was a piece of shit, that I was not enough, that I would never amount to anything, that I would never become anything more than just some peasant on a dirty, dusty road. But there was also this other voice, not as loud, this other voice. And it's the voice I've come to know as Christ. And this voice speaks very softly, whispers in the quiet thoughts of my mind, the quiet moments of when I'm alone. Those quiet moments that says, hey, maybe that's not true. Maybe you are enough. But you must face the darkness, because if you don't face the darkness, it will never go away. You will never overcome. You will never beat it. You will never find the liberation that stands on the other side of the darkness if you run from the darkness, because the darkness will just haunt you. Why are kids scared of the dark? Why are grown adults scared of the dark? What is it about the dark that is scary? One thing I've come to understand is darkness is different than evil. Evil is evil, but darkness is just dark. It's the absence of light. You can't go into a room that's full of light and turn on a dark light to evaporate the light, but you can go into a dark room and turn on a light. And the entire room, even a simple light of a candle or a match in the corner, will illuminate the entire room, change the construct of everything, allow you to see. When you step into the dark, consider that you're just stepping into the unknown. But the unknown doesn't have to be scary when you realize that facing the dark helps you realize that the dark, there is no boogeyman under the bed. There is nothing. We don't live in a day and an age in a society where the things you do facing the unknown or facing the dark, where you're going to be executed for it, where you're going to be killed for it, where your wife and daughters will be raped and murdered for it, where your sons will be strung up on a noose. That doesn't exist. So we're afraid to step into the dark, and so we avoid our dark, not realizing that that is our liberation. That is the thing. That is the thing. My move here to Hawaii has been one of the most treacherous experiences of my life. You would think, hey, Trevor moves to Hawaii, this should be great, you should feel inspired, this should be the most amazing thing ever. But I want you to consider, for me, that was not. It's been the complete opposite. It's been one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I have had to face darkness inside of me that I pray that no one else does. In a way that I pray that no one else does. But what's so insane to me is to realize that as I faced the darkness, I also found liberation. And real liberation, true liberation, is finding you. Who are you? Answering that question has been the single greatest pursuit of the last probably decade of my life. Figure out, who is Trevor J. White? Not who is my name, not what do I do for a living, not what do you think I am, not what does my wife think I am, not just what society tell me I am, not even what does my religion tell me I am. But who am I actually? When I strip all of it away, who is this guy? And it's been a pursuit of development, a pursuit to figure out who I could be. And one thing that's crazy is I found that as I faced the dark and I went after this war inside of my own mind against light versus dark and good versus evil, and as I broke down narratives, I broke down stories, I broke down generational habits, patterns, routines that I just did because that's just the way it was. As I broke all of these down, I began to uncover me. And in the uncovering of me, I have the ability to stand in a place of absolute power that I never had before. But this is not a mild declaration of change. No, this is a declaration of absolute transformation. The weak patterns, the habits, the way I showed up in life, into every area of my life, the weakness was what was allowing the fear from the darkness, the anxiety that would come from the darkness. Anxiety is a made-up thing. Yeah, I said it. Meaning, you make yourself anxious. I'm not saying anxiety doesn't exist, but what I'm saying is you actually control it. Anxiety is the fear of the future or the regret of the past. If you are present to today, In all of who you are in this moment, anxiety is not possibly, it's not possible for it to exist. It's not possible. It literally cannot exist. And the crazy part about that is your darkness exists in the future and in the past. The things you are afraid of, the only thing that exists in the moment, the here, the present, the now, is God. God only lives right now. And 5 seconds from now, he lives there. He doesn't live 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. He doesn't live there. He also doesn't live 10 years from now, 5 years from now, next week. He lives right now. To be guided, led, and inspired, you must be willing to step into the dark, understanding the darkness is my liberation, not my prison. And through stepping into the dark, this is where God can truly show you his light. And in turn, reflect back to you your own brilliance. I want you all to consider you're enough right now. You have everything you need inside of you right now for today. Everything you need. I don't care what you've done. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what your results in your life are. You are enough right now. You're significant right now. What you do in life matters right now. And now it just comes down to a series of you being able to understand that it comes down to your choices, your habits, your routines that are going to make the difference between whether the impact you experience on this life ripples for eternities or you're forgotten on an old dusty road. So, not a very conventional show today. Today's Daily Fire was fire for me. That's the nature of this show. This is what we do. I share things that are real for me. I share what I'm experiencing in my own life. I may live in a tropical paradise, but tropical paradise has darkness too. No one is immune. No one is immune from this. So why don't you take a look at your life around body, being, balance, and business. Areas inside of the core four, something I train on heavily inside of Pivot. Inside of the core four, where have you been running from the darkness? The unknown. Where has fear gripped you that you have been unwilling to face the truth and the reality of the facts of your life? Where's that at? And what's one thing that you can do today? What's one thing that you can do facing that reality and that domain? What's one action that you can take today? Simple action. Simple success swinging singles. What's the simple thing that you can do? And once you've identified that thing that you can do, step 3 is always the same. Go do it. Go do it. Go do it. So that brings us to a conclusion of today's show. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share this show up to somebody who might need this message today. I appreciate you. And as always, this is Trevor J. White reminding you that you're just one pivot away.